And joining the show is the great Ndamukong Suh. Mr. Suh, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm ready to drink some whiskey with you. I had no idea you were such a whiskey fanatic, and in fact, you're actually an investor in this little brand right here.
Yes, lovely St. Liberty. Some beautiful ladies that have changed the world in creating and distilling. So definitely excited to be a part of that overall group.
Yeah, that's a cool story. But how did you get into whiskey? What was your moment? Was it after you beat my Oklahoma State Cowboys? When you were in Nebraska, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to celebrate with a little bit of Pappy or something.
No,
What was the
not really.
moment?
Honestly, it was really I learned about Pappy Van Winkle, and then obviously some of the Japanese whiskeys out there, and have just grown to like it over time, as well as just learning about all the different types between bourbon and the ryes and all the different blends that they had. And so had an opportunity, as you mentioned, to be a part of the group of St. Liberty, and obviously support a great group of women and that have done some amazing things in that industry. And so obviously immigrants, and my parents being immigrants coming from Cameroon and Jamaica, it just felt aligned in a good situation.
Wow. Well, so when did you get in touch with Saint Liberty? Was that recent?
Yeah, it's been recent in the last year or so, and it's been a good partnership and something I'm excited about. Working on an all-women advisory board, and then obviously people of color being on the ownership side as well as the operation side. So my sister was actually the one who brought it to me, as she worked with me on a handful of my endeavors.
Oh wow. So all right. So Peyton Manning came out with a whiskey too.
Okay.
You know, what do you think about that? Do you like see it in the shelf? You see it in the liquor store, and you're like, we got to take it out. We got to put Saint Liberty there. I mean, quarterback, defensive end. We know there's a rivalry there.
I may go knock it out, but no, I didn't know he had a whiskey, so I will have to check it out and see a comparison there. But maybe you can tell me between your opinion of who's the best.
Well, I'll tell you that yours is actually you have a small distillery you're working with, and they've got a great story, and they're pushing for it. Peyton's whiskey is what we would call a source whiskey. He's got a really good blender on it, and Marianne Eves, but yours has that little bit more of a little guy working himself up, and paying tribute to great women of the past. So, well, and his is named after a golf course.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
So I sent you some whiskeys. In fact,
Yep.
I'm gonna go ahead and go to camera two, and folks, these are the whiskeys I sent in Dominican, and we, I mean, some really rare stuff. This is this is arguably the greatest Parker's Heritage of all time. This is an extinct whiskey blend from the 30s. That's the Weller single barrel that just came out. This is a barrel pick that I did in the Boone County one. Really good whiskey. And then Jefferson's Reserve is a pretty everyday standard bourbon. I think that's where we'll start there.
Okay.
We'll start with the Jefferson's Reserve.
Okay. I think I've got it here. One second. I'm going to grab a cup. Thank you, sir.
You excited for football again?
I am excited for football. I think it's going to be a ton different from obviously anything else we've experienced in previous seasons, but I'm definitely excited. We've got on paper in Tampa a hell of a team, to say the least.
You got a pretty good free agent acquisition.
Yeah, we did. Actually, more than one.
Yeah.
With Tom as well as Gronk both coming in. One out of retirement and one obviously from the Patriots. So definitely excited about being able to see how they can pick us up on the offense side of the ball and make it a little bit easier for us on the defense side of the ball.
You think you'll be able to get some St. Liberty on one of Gronk's party buses?
I'm sure if we have a donation, we can definitely get on that party bus.
All right.
I'm going to limit the party buses during the season. We'll wait for
That's
the celebration, hopefully.
Yeah, well, you got the team to do it.
Yeah.
All right, so when you're obviously familiar with whiskey, you've got I can already tell you've got your own kind of method. So talk to me through your method of tasting whiskey. As a taster, I have mine. And you can definitely tell you've got yours. So take me through your process of how you like to taste.
Yeah, I think for me, it's obviously getting a smell and getting the aromas and the different notes that come to me. But more or less, I'm just getting a good understanding of those and then want to dive right deep into it. I would say I'm no expert of like you are, but I think I have a pretty good palate of things, and I like to taste the smoothness to it. And whether it's hitting me on the front side of my tongue, on the back side, or in the middle, and then kind of going from there.
Awesome. Well, what I like to do is I like to smell it and have it kind of go back and forth. And I like smell with my mouth open because it allows me to pick up more than, just the alcohol. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes my mouth's closed, but I kind of go back and forth because it changes a little bit. And sometimes you get a whiff of whiskey and you can taste it when you're smelling it. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, for sure. As it comes down the back of your throat through your nose, without question.
Now, I interviewed Kyle Rudolph a while back, and he was telling me he's broken his nose a few times, and like one of his nostrils doesn't work because he can't smell as well on one side as the other because basically he got broken a time or two. I mean, hell, you might have broke it. I don't know, but
no, I definitely haven't, but definitely gone against Kyle. But I think the alcohol really opens up the nose, nostrils for me, and then obviously I get used to that, and then obviously I find the different notes throughout.
Do you pick up more on one nostril than the other? I do. I don't.
I would say I'm pretty even, but obviously a little bit more clear on the left side. So I do notice that.
Okay.
That I'm a little bit, I guess if I'm a dominant sniffer, it's to the left.
All right, so we've done the smell part. Now let's do the old taste. This is standard Jefferson's Reserve.
92 proof or 90 proof. Excuse me. It says there's no age to it or age statement.
Yeah, there's no age statement to these guys. Basically, if you are over 4 years old, you're not required by law to put an age statement on there. But if you are going to put an age statement on a bottle, it has to be the youngest barrel of the barrel in the batch. So if it says 6, or they could have 20 15-year-old barrels in there, but one 6-year-old barrel, and they have to put 6 on there if they want to do an age statement.
Yeah.
With that said, a lot of these brands are just like, they don't want to be beholden to an age statement, and so they just don't put one on there, and that's what we have here.
Which is definitely good in some instances from a standpoint of not being judged by your age. So
that's right. Let's take a look at St. Liberty. Do you guys put an age statement on there? Let's see. Yep. You do. 4 years old on Birdie's Bear Gulch. Birdie Brown, boy, she looks like a solid bootlegger from back in the day.
Yes, she does.
Love it. Let's see if Josephine's has an age statement here. Oh, this one's 5 years old. That's fantastic. These bottles are really cool. You guys did a good job with these bottles.
No, they're absolutely amazing, especially Mary. Mary, that blue just comes out.
That speaks to you.
Yeah, no, especially in the light top, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a cool look. That was a really cool look. I like that. So overall impressions on our first one here, the Jefferson's Reserve.
I like it a lot. I think it hits very, very smooth, and then coming down through the throat, there's not really much of a spiciness to it, which is good, and definitely something I could see myself drinking again in the future.
Now, when you are, we're going to move on to the Boone County. After a game, do you celebrate with a little bourbon?
I try and stay away from any alcohol because, truthfully, it is one of the most important times to recovery. So
right after a game,
and the body needs as much recovery as it can get. Obviously, we've, in some layman's terms, gone through multiple car crashes. So hydration is probably one of the most key things, especially if you're on a short week. So yeah, I try and stay away. But Monday, after a game, maybe watching Monday Night Football, if I'm not playing on it, definitely try and enjoy some whiskey or sometimes wine as well.
Yeah. So if you're on like an off day, you will have a little sip, or enjoy a little something.
Yes, no question. The wife definitely isn't always opposed to it, so we usually have something great with dinner and then watch TV, hang out, or our normal shows before bed.
Do you ever have like, do you ever get like a sack or a really good tackle, and you're like, man, I am cracking out the Macallan or the Pappy tonight, because damn, that felt good.
Usually not thinking about liquor, but yeah, in the locker rooms, we'll every now and then the guys will say like, are we going to go out after this and go have a good time? So, but usually not right off the bat, but usually after the game, it's a competition of who's going to be paying for it out of the D-line group.
Well, you're the veteran now, so they should be paying for you.
Exactly. So I'm the old man in the group, so I've done my due. So it's usually on the younger guys.
I like that. All right, so here we are. So Boone County is a distillery in northern Kentucky.
Okay.
They acquired a lot of barrels from an Indiana distillery in that sourced whiskey game I was telling you a little bit about, with like what Peyton's doing.
Okay.
And we got to go and pick a barrel. My cigar club, we did, and this is a Boone County 12-year-old, basically Indiana bourbon, and I picked this a couple years ago.
Okay.
So this is, ooh, it still smells good too.
Nice.
That is, I could smell this all day long.
Yeah.
What are you picking up there?
It's definitely a smooth, and I mean, you got vanilla there.
This is, you're going down that right track, and one of the things that I do is that when I pick up something like vanilla, I start going down the list of like, what are the other things that that are similar to vanilla, and I start kind of pairing them together, and some of them are like, you wouldn't think about them, but cornbread, like really sweet cornbread, has a bit of it's like it's on that same axis on the nose for as vanilla.
A little extract.
Yeah.
It might not be a bad idea to throw some extract and vanilla into some cornbread.
Oh man, that does sound good actually. I tried making this recipe of cornbread the other day. They said put popcorn in there,
Okay.
They said it would pop inside the cornbread. It didn't pop, and I almost cracked a tooth on one of the
kernels.
cornbread, the kernels of the popcorn.
Yeah. Would you get any brown sugar in this?
This is loaded with those kinds of notes.
Mm-hmm.
Brown sugar for sure, a little bit of molasses, some peanut butter. To me, when you assess all of those, there's still one note that just jumps out as like a big old caramel. It's like a caramel bomb.
For sure. No question there. Caramel, I definitely agree with.
This might be one you'd want to break out after a good regular season win. I don't know if it's quite a playoff win or a Pro Bowl celebration, but it's a good win. You having a nice steak dinner. The Jeffersons. That's you finish preseason.
Okay.
You're just warming up.
Preseason.
This is a nice regular season right here.
This is usually like you finish the first quarter of the season off in fourth game, got a good win. You're 4-0 or 3-1 and feeling good about how the start of the season's going. So definitely on there with you on that one.
Yeah. Man, that's a tasty one.
Yeah.
So we'll go to the Weller single barrel now. I will tell you, my wife is a huge fan of yours.
Okay.
And she's not even she's a Giants fan.
Okay.
But she loves football.
Uh-huh.
And defensive end is her favorite position. Which is she doesn't really know football, so for her to choose that position, I think it's because you tackle the quarterback, and she hates most quarterbacks.
Well, me and your wife are gonna definitely be friends.
But you've got like watching you play. You're so passionate. You bring it every game. It's one of those where I'm an old school football fan. I guess she is too.
Yeah.
But it feels like there's so many in the game that take plays off and everything. No one can ever say that about you. That's for sure.
No, I definitely appreciate that. And passion, grit, and grind is everything that was instilled in me. One, from my parents, but especially when I got to Nebraska, from Coach Bo, as well as all the other coaches on the staff. So I try and think of those guys that paved the way for me previously, and being able to carry on that tradition. And obviously, Nebraska's got a great tradition and some elite players that I like to replicate my game after.
Nebraska is a storied program. Of course, we had them in the Big 12 until the Big 10 came and stole them from us. But I miss them in the Big 12. I really do. The league is not the same without them.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a hate-love relationship because I enjoyed all those Oklahoma, Texas battles, even Colorado, playing them on Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving, and going to bed early on Thanksgiving after being semi-full because you couldn't overeat knowing you got a game the next day. So Big 12 was great to me and enjoyed every bit of it. But we got to get Nebraska back in the right footsteps, hopefully under Coach Frost, and get some championships up there in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, college football is better when Nebraska's good. Just the bottom line, No,
some amazing fans, and you're talking about traveling, going to bowl games, and all that stuff. Had some amazing times there as a youngster.
So what we're drinking here, this is Weller. This is the Weller Single Barrel. This is a new product from an existing line from Weller. It is a wheated bourbon. This is the same recipe as Pappy Van Winkle. And so this is a single barrel, and they're basically trying to pluck the best barrels they can and bottle them and sell them. And this 10 years ago, when you first came into the league, was pretty easy to find,
Okay.
and now you can't find it. Now it's really hard to find because, well, it's good and people know about it.
For sure. Well. What do you? I feel like I want to say there's a little fruit, maybe peach, in there, or something.
Man, you're
around.
good. You're good. You may have a really good career as a taster after this. When you want to retire and put on that gold jacket, you may just have a. You may take my place here, taste some whiskey.
No, I'll come right alongside you and join the fun.
If we could get you into the tasting format where you're a judge and everything,
Yeah.
that'd be great. I mean, that's a good career to fall into when you get out.
No.
So what your buddies ask you, what are you doing now? I taste whiskey for a living.
For sure. No, that would be a fun deal. Get around and get an opportunity to travel around the world to do it.
Now, I'm not asking. I don't want you to think about retirement because I want to see you still playing and get a ring.
I still got plenty of years left.
You do, but are you gonna, when you do retire, do you think you'll work out like you do now, or do you think you'll cut back a little bit?
Truthfully, I am pretty regimented in how I like to start my day. So I'm typically up around 5-6 in the morning and starting my workouts, and I may push it back a couple hours or an hour, but I still want to get up, get a workout in of some sort, and then get to business, whether it's in real estate or investing. And then, like you said, maybe I'll be able to ride your coattail into tasting whiskey for a living as well.
Yeah, I might just hit you up on after this for a little something I'm working on the side. So you might become a taster before you never know.
No.
It'll be in the off season. It'll be in the off season, though. I promise.
Yeah, off season for sure. That'll be great. In season, I can't be tasting too much right now.
That's right. I don't want to affect that. All right. So yeah, you were spot on with the peach. I think apricot is really prevalent here, and then there's a flavor that I get that's really prominent in Europe, and it's an almond paste kind of dessert called marzipan.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's got a lot of that going there. And this is a celebratory whiskey. You made the playoffs. You want to celebrate, but you're not quite there to your really expensive ones yet, but you want to celebrate with something great. This is that kind of whiskey.
Oh yeah, definitely one of those, like you said, made the playoffs, clinched the division, something of that sort.
Oh, I like that. Now your division's tough. I mean, you got a
handful of great teams for sure. It's gonna be a fun battle, to say the least.
Well, I thought like Cam Newton was like, one of the greatest quarterbacks, and he seemed like he's really hard to tackle.
Yeah.
So at least he's not in the league, or at least in your division right now.
Yeah. No, he moved out of the NFC South, and then obviously moved over to the AFC. So will be missed from a quarterback I get to hit for sure. But there's plenty of other great ones. Teddy is going to be another elusive quarterback there in Carolina, and then Drew Brees as well, a guy that's been doing it for a long, long time. And then Matt Ryan is going to Atlanta into that fun stadium, and that loud crowd is. I've got a bittersweet feeling about that stadium, having lost a Super Bowl there. So I got a little extra oomph when I go there for sure.
Who is your favorite quarterback to hit?
Well, unfortunately, one of them are my teammates now. So I won't be able to hit him. I'll give him a couple love taps in practice. You
talking about Tom Brady?
Yeah, about Tom. Yeah, we actually joked about that when I ended up signing back with Tampa, and so between him and in the back in the days when I first got into the league, Brett Favre was obviously a great one. Aaron Rodgers was always fun to go after and have a lot of fun because he talks back quite a bit. And kind of on that note, Phillip Rivers is probably one of the most funnest because his animation, but obviously he has great craft and being able to run his offense. So between those guys, it's definitely a lot of fun going against them.
That's interesting. I have heard that Phillip Rivers likes to talk a little smack, but he just seems like a sweet guy, you know? It's like, you know, but is it really smack? It's, you know, but I'm not on the field, so I don't know.
It's definitely smack and fun in games because off the field, like we've been able to interact with each other off the field. And he's a really good dude, good solid family man as well. And my mom actually, when I was maybe a couple years ago, wanted to grab a picture with him. He was super humble about being able to do that, and it was right after we had just beat them. So,
right on. Well, we have a really rare antique whiskey next, and that is the Four Roses, the Four Roses blend here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this thing was basically, we know Four Roses today as being like this really, you know, bold and high rye bourbon, but coming out of Prohibition, you know, they were doing blends, and they were even doing blends, you know, well after, you know, the 50s.
Okay.
And so this is what they would have been making in the 1930s.
Okay.
In 1940s, because they didn't have enough bourbon on the market to actually put into the market. You know, so they didn't have enough straight bourbon. So they created. You see right there, it says a blend of straights, like a blend of straight whiskeys.
Yeah.
That means that they are compiling, you know, bourbons or whiskeys that are, you know, at least 2 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and so, you know, prior, you know, when this was made, you know, the NFL really wasn't what we know it. They still had the leather helmets mostly. You know, there was I can't even really name a player from the 30s.
Okay.
When you get in the 40s, I can name a player or two in the 50s, but you know, football was not the world we know today, and society was definitely different.
Yeah.
But the whiskey still lives, and this is what that generation liked to drink. This was one of the best-selling whiskeys on the market.
Okay.
So, but these things from like the 30s and 40s,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they taste amazing, and sometimes they taste like a big old heaping pile of dung. you just never know, because sometimes the bottle did not, you know, do well in its time wherever it was sitting, and you know, and they also had a very different idea of what tasted good back then.
Yeah.
So, but nonetheless, this is actually a glass of history. So this is a glass of something that you cannot get. I don't know how many bottles of this would be left in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but it wouldn't be a lot. This is something that you're splurging, and you know you're splurging, but you don't know if it's going to be any good. It's kind of like, actually, I don't have a comparison. Maybe a really expensive watch that doesn't work 5 days later. I don't know, but this.
They've got a great label, to say the least, and I'm a little biased because I'm from Portland, Oregon, and we're the city of roses. So those four roses look amazing on that bottle, and it's green.
Yep. Yeah, and the brand still exists today.
Okay.
It's just been through a few hands. It's a interesting story, actually.
It's quite delightful, though.
It smells a lot like leather to me, and like tobacco, like a cigar box.
Yeah, I'd say a little creamy.
Oh, wow. Holy shit, that's good.
Yeah,
Wow.
that is very, very smooth.
That is amazing. And I have to tell you, if the guy who gifted this bottle to me, he's a Redskins fan.
Okay.
And if I told him I was going to be sipping this with you, he probably wouldn't have given it to me. He's such a diehard, fan. And,
Yeah.
people take football like religion,
No
I
question.
mean, and no doubt they're like yelling at you from the stands. Like, what's the worst thing someone's yelled at you from the stands?
I don't know if I can repeat it,
Yeah.
but there's definitely been some vulgar language, to say the least, that's come out of some fans. And obviously, I played in Oakland a ton of times, in Green Bay as well. I got a hate-love relationship with them. But it's been a lot of fun to just hear, and I actually enjoy playing in away stadiums, because to hear a crowd be silenced by the actions that you're putting on the field and sacking their quarterback or taking down their running back, knocking down a pass or getting an interception or a fumble recovery and turn it for a touchdown, and it just goes silent, and then being able to walk out of that stadium and they're booing at you, not throwing stuff, but wanting to throw stuff at you, to say the least, is always a great feeling. So
Yeah.
I love playing home games, but there's that great feeling when you're playing in an away stadium and people are definitely upset that you've taken away their enjoyable Sunday.
You like drinking their tears. It sounds like it's like, oh, give me your tears.
No question. Yes, I want all of your tears, and keep them flowing.
I love it. I love it. So you've been such a force on the defensive line, and a lot of times with someone who has your like athleticism, they bring them over on the offensive side to maybe play a little bit of tight end or a fullback.
Yeah.
I mean, are we going to see a little bit of that now that you've got Gronk on one side, maybe a double tight end, run it down your throat kind of formation?
I would love to, and we've had some discussions with our coaches. And actually, last year we had a package that we actually didn't end up using. But there's definitely some packages that we've had in the mix. Just finding the right time. In this year, obviously, you have Gronk as an amazing tight end, future Hall of Famer. And Vita Vea, one of my line mates, plays right next to me. He scored some touchdowns as well. So you could have a three-headed monster if you put me over there as well. So
oh boy,
maybe something that we can consider for this season.
Hey, go for it, Coach Bruce. It's the way to do it.
For sure.
I'd love to see you, but I don't want to stop drinking this. I don't know about you, but this is like,
this is amazing.
So we were talking about like how great this liquid is.
Man.
I mean, this is and just to kind of paint the setting for you. Coming out of Prohibition, everybody was wanting to get back into whiskey. Everybody was so excited about having, you're a businessman, so you'll appreciate this. They saw opportunity.
Yep.
And that opportunity for them was like, let's invest money, let's do all this, let's build infrastructure. But they didn't have whiskey right away to like bottle, so they were taking little bits and pieces of what was left over from medicinal whiskey during Prohibition.
Yeah.
And they were blending it together, making the very best blends they possibly could. And this is an example of that. And then when they get the stocks going, Germany invades Poland, we end up in World War II. And it's kind of a sad story, but this is a piece of history of excitement. This is a moment of when distillers were so jazzed to get back in the game, and we're tasting a little bit of history here, my friend.
Yeah, that's
really something.
And that history tastes amazing, to say the least. And I'm excited to this 4th of July. I'll share a smidget with my my performance director who's coming over to the house, because he's a big whiskey bourbon guy as well. So Definitely excited.
Well, after this, I'll pour a little bit more and send to you,
Okay.
and then you can you guys can share a little bit more down the road, and you can have a little bit more. But
No,
yeah,
that's awesome.
this is too good not to share with friends. This is.
True.
I was gonna say this is like making the NFC Championship or winning the NFC Championship, but I don't know if it's not winning the Super Bowl.
Okay.
What do you think?
I've been able to win an NFC Championship, and this is quite close to it.
Okay.
I would say this almost has tears of joy.
Okay. This is so 1930s Four Roses, blend of straights, and American whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Tears of joy for Ndamukong Suh. Which means tears for your team, most likely.
Yes, no question about that.
So now, if you give me if you're okay with this, I'd like to tell you the story behind the man that this is named after, because he was a really good friend of mine, great man.
Okay.
His name was Parker Beam.
Yep.
He was the master distiller for Heaven Hill.
Okay.
And he was one of the people who influenced me and helped my palate and trained me in some ways. And he's an icon in American whiskey.
Okay.
He got ALS and announced it in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And they named a whiskey after him. And every bottle of whiskey that they sell that's the Parker's Heritage, they donate money to the ALS Foundation.
Yeah.
And not all their releases have been great, but this one is thought to be the greatest that they have ever put out. My opinion included.
Yeah.
And it's an 11-year-old single barrel,
Mm-hmm.
122 proof from 2017. So this would have been distilled in 2006.
Yeah.
So if my memory's correct, you would be a freshman or sophomore in college
Correct.
at that time.
Sophomore.
Yeah,
Yep.
you were a sophomore.
Yeah.
So what were you doing as a sophomore at Nebraska?
I was running around campus. I enjoyed my first full season of college ball. Starting to come into my own as a young defensive tackle / defensive end, and just really green behind the ears, to say the least, and excited to be a part of a great organization in college. Really diving really heavy into my engineering college, and really made that decision to focus on that. So it was a big year for me, to say the least.
Well, I think that was a year that you all beat Oklahoma State too, and I think you got a couple sacks on us. That was when they were split up.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the year we had you, but I think you did, and I think you whipped us pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll have to go to the Google after this.
Yeah, North and South. So I would imagine, because I got to play against Oklahoma State at least 2 or 3 times that I recall. But no offense, we usually didn't have too much trouble.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm in the stands. And
Yeah.
I know, and yeah.
Am I wrong of a little butterscotch here?
Oh man, this is a butterscotch bomb. Again, I gotta get you over on the tasting side.
Mm-hmm.
You've got skills here. You really do.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And by the way, I would put this. Everyone always talks about like Pappy Van Winkle being the greatest bourbon and all that. It's a very good bourbon, but it does have a lot of hype connected to it.
For sure.
And so that inflates it.
Mm-hmm.
I would put this up against any Pappy release ever.
Okay.
And I've tasted a good chunk of them, and that's how high I am on this one.
Wow. Yeah. And it's got a great story.
And these are my last drops too. So get to share the last little bit of this with you.
No, I definitely appreciate it. This is an amazing
yeah.
And it hits you, but then it just kind of just dissipates into like goodness.
I got a little tickle down my spine.
Yeah.
Man, that was good.
Yeah. No, I like because it comes on like with some strength to it, but don't worry, I'm gonna smooth out for you as it goes down. So definitely a very enjoyable finish.
And it is.
Outside of this one, what else would you say are some of your favorites?
Well, I'd tell you that, like over the years, the whiskeys I picked for like my American whiskeys of the year, going back to 2017, it'd be Booker's Rye. 2018, it was Barrel Bourbon's 15-year-old Gray Label. 2019, King of Kentucky. And this year, I've got a lot of really good contenders.
Okay.
But I'm not quite sure. They're all pretty close. There hasn't been one that has overly wowed me. There's been a couple, but they're not in the bourbon category. They're in different categories.
Okay.
But as a critic, it's hard to say who's your favorite, that sort of thing.
Totally understand and respect. Just some good quality batches is most important. Just constant quality.
Well, I think I should probably taste. Maybe I should taste one of the Sweet Liberties.
Yes.
Saint Liberty.
Saint Liberty.
I called it Sweet Liberty. Sweet Liberty, Saint Liberty. I mean, which one do you recommend? I've got Birdie's, Mary's, and Josephine's.
I would probably go with Josephine's. I personally haven't had a chance to dive heavily into Mary's, but Josephine's I've definitely enjoyed quite a bit.
Okay. Again, this bottle is just probably one of the best original bottles that I've seen in a while. It's just such a nice bottle. Love the shape. Got the good cork there. And here's the thing too. I'm very honest with my reviews. So, like if I don't like it, I will say it.
No.
But so this is distilled and aged in Tennessee. So I have a feeling I know the distillery from whence this came. Oh, maybe I don't. This does not smell like that distillery. It smells very it has kind of like a funk to it, like a Jamaican jerk funk.
Definitely spiced.
Damn, I like that. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, if you're like, if you're a rye fan, this is going down that road of, it's got a lot of spice. I mean, it's very spice laden, and then some herbs coming in underneath that. But this is fantastic. Wow. Actually, I want to know more about this whiskey. I dig that.
Yeah, no, Josephine's is quite nice. A nice perfection out of Montana, as well as crafted in Tennessee. So definitely, and she was the killer to say the least.
Yeah, Now, do you have a say in any of the whiskey? Do they bring you in on the panels or anything like that to pick a whiskey out?
Uh, I do a little bit. Obviously, I can't always taste all the time just because of training and all those different things. So that's why I have a strong um, executive team. But definitely have a lot of trust in them, and I definitely get to taste and be a part of the mix for sure.
Well, you have the palate for it, and when they want to bring you in the tasting panel, I think whenever you're ready for that, you're there. You got it. This is a good whiskey. So I think you got a good team there doing a good job for sure.
No, definitely. I appreciate that. And I'm definitely excited for the future. There's a lot of excitement around the brand. And as I said before, just being able to be a part of something and sticks to my roots of immigrants and women of color, doing some exciting things or have done some exciting things and bringing it to life.
Yeah, and I gotta send you my I sent you my book Bourbon Curious, but I gotta send you my book Whiskey Women, which was a story on the history of women in whiskey. So I applaud what you're doing. I think it's great. We're glad to have you in whiskey, and I mean, I'm looking forward to you becoming a taster, like a professional taster, in the off season now,
Yeah,
and all that. But so I guess we'll kind of close on this. Just tell us what you're most excited about with the season. I mean, it feels like it's going to be a little different. There's still not a plan from the NFL of what the season looks like, but we got the coronavirus and NBA and Major League Baseball is doing stuff. But I think most of the world, especially the United States, is just excited to see you guys on the field again.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely optimistic about the season, and I think we've got some amazing plans in play to have it. Obviously, people are starting to see some of the things that I've known for a handful of weeks of understanding that there are going to be some cancellations of the preseason games and limited to that just for acclimation for guys and making sure they're able to get prepared for the season, which is most important. And then the ability to really just go out there and have a great product. So I think the most important things is guys remaining healthy through these pandemics the pandemic that we're dealing with, and we'll definitely when we have the opportunity to get out there have an amazing product as well.
So what was your favorite whiskey that we tasted here today?
Truthfully, I would have to say I'm in great alignment with you on the Parker's heritage, but for whatever reason, the 1930s, 1940s Four Roses is also sitting quite well with me. So
All right.
between those two, I'm caught in the middle, and I think it's a good place to be caught.
Overtime it is.
Yeah.
So I'll send you some more of the Four Roses, but man, just thank you so much for coming on. Love to see what's going to happen with Tampa Bay this year, and I'll definitely be rooting for you all. It's going to be a unique season, but everybody will be glued to the television because the world needs to see football again, and can't wait to see you, sacking whoever it is you're going to be sacking. So.
No, I appreciate it, and thank you for having me. Tell your wife I appreciate the support, and I will definitely not let her down with the way I play.
Right on, man. Well, take the glass you like most. I picked mine. I got the Parkers, but it was close. But you don't have to tell us which one it was. But just want to toast you, man. I appreciate you coming on, and be safe out there, stay healthy, and just have a great year with the Tampa Bay Bucs, and go easy on Tom. Go easy on him.
No, Tom's now a part of the family, so I appreciate it, and thank you, and toast to you as well.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.